Opal Beaters, it's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and I'm back today with another tutorial. And you might be thinking to yourself, why are you back doing a tutorial of the same ring you've already done? And actually, you're close, but it is a different ring. You see, this ring has 9 rows of beads, whereas this ring has 8 rows of beads, meaning that this ring right here was even count peyote stitch, and this one requires odd count peyote stitch. So I figured it'd be nice to come back and follow up with a video sharing the same style ring, just in the odd count peyote technique. It's a great simple way for you guys to jump from doing even count to odd count if you've never done it before. If you've never done peyote stitch of any kind, I do recommend maybe checking out the even count peyote stitch video prior to this one. But it's not bad at all once you get the hang of it. The only difference with doing the odd count is you will have to do a couple of extra steps once you get to one end of your row in order to execute your turnaround properly. But if you've never tried it before, hopefully this video will inspire you to try something new and show you that you can do it. So to make one of these rings, what you're going to need is 2 different colors of 11O Delica beads. I will leave the links down below to the products that I'm using today. Of course, you're welcome to use anything you want. I also have my beading needle here. This is a size 10 beading needle, and I have about 6 feet of Fireline strung on the needle. It is different than fishing line. It is much more thread-like. This is a fused thread, and it's what I always use for my bead weaving. Today I'm going to be using the 4-pound, but it's totally fine to use a different strength or color. I have the color Smoke here. I'm just trying to use up my little roll of 4-pound because I typically go through 6-pound. So anyway, go ahead and string your thread onto your needle and then decide on your 2 colors of Delica beads and which color you'd like to be on the outside and which color you'd like to be on the inside. And let's get started. Alright guys, I got my colors laid out here, and what we're going to do, just like in the even count video, we are going to start by making 1 row of beads which goes up and down like that. The entire ring is made of a strip that just keeps getting longer, and then you just wrap the strip around your finger and finish when you feel like your strip is the desired length for whichever finger you're trying to match. Quick tip for you, I would make it just slightly tighter than you think you might need, just because these might stretch ever so slightly, not very much, but just ever so slightly. And I found a lot of times when I'd make them, I wished I'd gone just maybe a row or 2 smaller to get a more snug fit, but that's totally up to you, and it may take some trial and error for you to decide what works for you, but no big deal. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to string on 2 of our outer color, then 5 of our inner color, and then 2 more of our outer color. So I decided I'm going to make green the outer color, so I'm going to pick up 2 of those, and then 5 of my inner color, which is this pretty sky blue, and then 2 more of our outer color. And I'm just going to string those all the way down to the end of my thread, but I'm going to leave about an 8-inch tail so that we can weave that back in later. You'll notice I also don't have a stopper bead. If you feel more comfortable having that, feel free to go for it. I don't feel like it's necessary in this particular design, so I'm just going to leave it off. So I'm going to pick up this little cluster of beads here in a way that they don't slip off the end. And we're going to pick up our needle in our other hand, and we're going to work back up that way towards the tail thread, just like we do in regular even count peyote. I'm going to pick up 1 of my outer colors, skipping over this outer color on the end and going right through that next bead. So this is going to feel very similar to the even count peyote until we get to the point where we need to turn back and go the other way. So there we go with our little T shape right there. You can see there's 2 sitting there on the end, and I did have to work the bead so they would sit right next to each other, so just play with that a little bit till you get your little T shape. Now it's time to pick up 1 of your inner colors. And of course you're going to skip over this next bead that you get to and go through the second of that inner color. Just like that, and hold your beads that are on the tail inside so they don't slip off on you. And that's what you should be looking at next. Now we can pick up another 1 of our inner color, skipping over the next bead we get to and going through the following bead. Just like that. And just take your time getting everything positioned correctly. And don't worry if you have to start this part more than once. You guys, I still mess up all the time and I have to start over, especially if I'm distracted and I'm not really thinking through what I'm doing. So don't feel bad if you have to start over, it's just beads. Alright, so then we're going to again pick up one more of our inner color and go through the second bead that we get to, skipping over that next one, which happens to be one of our outer colors. And just watch your thread, keep everything from getting tangled. So there you go, that's what you should have. Now let's go over the turn. Alright, so this is how we're going to execute our first turnaround. We are coming out of this bead right here, and we have one more loose bead right up here on the left hand side. What we're going to do is we're going to pick up one of our outer color, and we're going to go down through this loose bead, as well as down through the outer bead below it, and that inner color right there. So we're going to be going through these three beads. We have one picked up, and go ahead and pull that down and just position this new one so that it sits right next to that other outer bead on the top, and you can see our string or our thread is coming out of this blue bead right here. We're going to then swing it up this way because we want to be coming from the other direction. We're going to go through that inner bead right next to it. We're going to go through then the outer bead right above it, and then the outer color bead on the left hand side. So go through all of those three beads, and this will get our needle and thread in the correct position to continue on. You should have something that looks like this, and now we're just going to go directly down through the outer bead that is on the right and continue on with our peyote stitch. Okay, so we're going to pick up one of the outer color and pop that into place in between the two beads that are sticking out that we first get to. Then we're going to pick up our inner color and go through that next bead that's sticking out, and we're going to pop another one in there, and then we're going to do the same thing. Pop another one right into place. And now we're at the point where we want to add our outer color. So pick up one of those and pop that right into place by going through that bead on the bottom. So nothing fancy when we turn on this side. We just continue on like you would with any peyote stitch. Just turn around and keep popping beads in those spaces in between the ones that are sticking out. And once we do that, we'll go ahead and practice that turn again. Alright, so once you get to this point where you have one more to pop in here before you get to the very top, you want to pick up the next color you need. In this case, it's going to be a blue one, and you're going to go through the next bead that is sticking out, which is what you would normally do. Now from here, you notice you don't have anywhere to go from here, like even count, where you just keep going through the next bead. You don't have one sticking out right here. So what you want to do, go ahead and pick up one of those outer color beads, and this time you're going to be going down through the very top bead and down through the next two beads diagonally below it. So you can see you picked up one, you're going to be going down through these three right here. Pull that down and then position that little guy right into place. Tell him where to go. Just like that. And you can see our thread, we're coming out of this blue one here, we're going down in this direction, but we actually want to go back up so that we can be coming out of this bead, and that way we can pop in the other beads that we need to pop in. So in order to do that, we're going to be going right up the next blue bead, right next to the one we're coming out of. And you can kind of think of this as doing a figure 8 around your beads just to get your needle into position. So then we're going to go up one of these green beads here. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to go up through this one. And this just hides the thread. When you go up through these beads brick by brick, you won't even see the turnaround. So we're coming up out of this one here. Let's continue on. We want to be coming out of the bead directly to the left of this top bead on the end. And that way when we swing around and go back down, again our thread is hidden. So we're just going to go now down through that bead that's sticking out there on the end. And we're ready to continue on with our peyote. We're just going to pop beads into those spaces, turn around like normal, and then do that special turnaround step one more time. Alright, so I just paused for a moment and I actually went ahead and wove my tail thread back in just so it wouldn't be in the way and it wouldn't be confusing for the video to see which thread I'm actually working with. But let's go ahead and continue on with our peyote. That was really the hardest part, just getting started. And like I said, if you have to do it a couple times, don't worry about it, don't stress about it. I still make mistakes myself, of course, and have to start over, take things out, and go back. It's no big deal. But now that you have a little piece to grip onto, I definitely find that it gets easier, especially the more you practice that turnaround. It'll become second nature and it won't be a big deal for you at all. So just continue adding your little bricks, as I like to call them. That's what it reminds me of, just putting these beads in brick by brick. So again, here's the point where we're picking up one of our inner color, and we're at our last bead here that is sticking out. So we're going to go through that bead after we pick that inner bead up, pop it into place, and now we're going to pick up one of our outer color. And again, we have to swing around and then go through these 3 beads here on the top end diagonally. So go ahead and do that. Pull that little bead down, tell them where to go right there. And you should have something that looks like this, and now you want to just get your needle positioned back where you want it. So you're just going to go back up through these couple of beads here just to get your thread back in place and hide it appropriately. And now you're going to go up through the bead directly to the left of that top one that is sticking out on the end. Okay, so coming out of that bead on the left, now we're ready to swing down and go in the right direction to continue our peyote stitch. So it is as simple as that to do the odd count peyote. This is a great way to learn it and also to practice. So keep going until your strip here is the length that you want in order to wrap it around whatever finger you're trying to fit. And once you have that completed, we will meet back and I will show you how to join the 2 ends in order to make this one complete ring. Alright guys, so I have come to the end of my row here. I've got it fit around my thumb, just pretty much how I want it. So it is just barely meeting up, which is what I want, and you want to make sure you end your row so that the beads sticking out are the opposite on each side. So you see how this one's indented at the bottom and this one's sticking out? That's what you want, because when you put your ring together, you're going to zip it together kind of like a zipper. It's going to fit together like puzzle pieces, and then it's going to be seamless. So go ahead and pick up your ring just like that and kind of hold it with your thumb and your forefinger so that those pieces are sitting together. And as you can see, I'm coming out of this bead right here. I'm going to go ahead and just go diagonally through that end bead on this side and then through that next green bead on the other side, and we're just going to weave these together. So go ahead and do that again. I'm coming out of this bead right here. I'm going to go over to this blue one, and then diagonally I'm also going to go through that next blue one on that next row and pull that, and do the same thing again with the next 2, going through this blue one here and diagonally through the blue one right there on the other side. And we're just zipping it all together. And my needle went ahead and went through that green one on the very end as well, which is fine. I'm just gonna swing around now and go through that one on the other side and see how it just zipped everything all together. And we're gonna keep going through these beads one at a time if you have to, just to get to the other side. And we're going to make a couple of little half hitch knots. This is just going to bring everything together and keep your piece nice and secure, and you shouldn't even really be able to tell where it stops and where it starts. So as you can see, just going through one bead at a time. You can go through more than that if you're able to. Just to position your needle at the other side, and that's where you're going to make your first little knot. So there we go, we're right on the end, and I'm just going to go through the thread bridge right here, just poking my needle right under that thread and pulling that to make a loop, and then putting my needle through the loop and pulling tight. So then we're going to make our way back to the other side and do another little knot like that, and we'll do that about 3 times, and our piece is going to be good and secure. There, I got 3 beads that time. It always feels good when you can get through more than one at a time. Alright, I'm just going to do my little knot right here, going under the thread bridge. There we go. And I'll get to the other side, make one more, and then we'll try it on and see how it looks. Alright guys, so there is the finished ring, and then the other purple and black one that I made. Remember, you can do these as thick or as thin as you want, but if it is odd count, that is the same procedure that you would follow in order to do a ring like this one. You can also create your own designs using special beading graph paper, and now you know how to do both the even and the odd count, so it won't matter how many rows you want to do. And like I said, I will leave the links down below for the products that I used today. Feel free to leave me a comment or question down below because I love to hear from you guys. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me for another fun tutorial. Hopefully this was helpful for you. I can't wait to see some of your designs and some of the color combinations that you've come up with. Stay tuned for more tutorials, more bead subscription unboxings, more hauls, finished jewelry updates, all those things coming soon on my channel. Hope you'll stick around for all of that. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, happy beading. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to give it a big thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of my latest videos. Check out the information section under the video for links to my social media handles and other helpful info. And feel free to check out my shop at orchidandopal.com. Thanks for watching.